What's up, world? Welcome to Dog Talk. I'm your host, Sporty Black, and we're gonna talk about the Georgia Tennessee post game. Georgia wins the game 38-12. It wasn't the prettiest game in the world. Matter of fact, it was it was kind of sloppy, to be honest with you. And for Georgia fans like myself, you kind of disappointed because of the expectation level of where I guess unrealistic expectation of where we think where we supposed to be, you know, in terms of dominating, being the number two team in the country, you know. And basically, I say all that just to say, looking at this game and looking at last week's game against Missouri, and the way that the offense been looking coming out the first half of the SEC games, it just they're not looking good. The offense is sputtering. It ain't really consistent. It ain't running smooth. I think there's a lot of bad play calling in there too. So you can blame Coach Jim Chaney for that. I think he need to be a little more innovative, and they need to utilize more of these weapons that they have, on a more consistent basis. But some of the problems we having is coming from up front, on the offensive line, and that can be attributed to the fact that we got some injuries. So we've been shuffling players. Like today, I think Cade Mays played right guard because Ben Cleveland is hurt. And then, the previous couple of games he was playing left tackle because Andrew Thomas was hurt. Then Isaiah Wilson, I think he had his worst game as a starter this year. He got beat like 2-3 sacks. He eventually got replaced, I think, by Kendall Baker. So the offensive line didn't play well. We had a lot of sacks. Well, a few sacks we gave up. So the pass protection was breaking down. Fromm, he just standing in the pocket like a statue. And, I've been teams' fields, so I'm not really just finna get into that at the moment, because I do like Jake Fromm. I think he does well for the team. I think he's a great game manager. But overall, what people got to realize about it is that everybody, that's saying, oh, Jake Fromm is our starter, he's our guy. Basically, all those people are going off of last year's resume. But we all know we can't live in the past. You can't win no game Saturday based off what you did last fall. It don't work like that because you got to look at the totality of the situation last year. Why Jake Fromm was successful? It was the fact that he had two stud NFL caliber running backs behind him. Therefore, we running the ball a 70-30 ratio, run to pass. He throwing the ball 10, maybe 12 times a game, and basically being a good game manager, And a lot of the balls he throwing is good 50-50 balls to 6'4" receiver Javon Williams. He making a lot of those catches or whatnot. But looking at Jake Fromm last year and definitely this year, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that he's very limited with his skill set. He's a great game manager. He got great intangibles to get you in and out of these plays good. And he's a great thrower of the football to the outside, like the out routes and all this kind of stuff. He's great. He excels on that. He's pretty good with the back shoulder stuff as well. But having the arm strength and the velocity on the ball that is needed to throw the ball across that middle is missing from his game. That's why you hardly ever see us attacking the middle of the defense. That's why the tight ends are hardly ever targeted. For the season and a half that Fromm been basically the quarterback, he doesn't utilize the tight ends as well. And it's kind of like with Fromm, he locks in on his receiver, and he kind of already have a predetermination of where he want to go with the ball pre-snap. So therefore, some of his progressions he's missing because he's already made up his mind. He's going to throw the ball over here, not seeing the man, opening up down the field wide open for a touchdown. So those are just a few things that I've noticed. I feel like Fromm holds the ball entirely too long. I think you got to be more quicker when you're in that pocket. You got to make your mind up. You got to throw it away or something. You can't keep taking sacks, and you definitely can't keep fumbling the ball and people knock the ball out your hand. You can't do that. We got lucky the first half. The first fumble, Fromm got the ball knocked out his hand. We got a lucky bounce, and Isaac Nada picked it up and ran it in for a touchdown. And that probably was definitely going to be the only receiving touchdown he got. If he was waiting on Fromm to throw it to him, because that just ain't happening. We ain't really using our tight ends like that under Fromm. It's been like that. But I think with Justin Fields, it gives us a new dimension offensively, because we can all see that the running game has took a major step back from last year to this year. And that's just because the backs we got this year, they're really good backs, but the backs we had last year, they was really great backs. There's a difference between good and great. So this year we just can't, line up and just hand the ball off on 3rd and 7 and 3rd and 8 and expect, the running back to get the first down. No, we gotta improvise. We gotta be more creative in the play calling. So I feel like to get the running game going better, the day's game plan with implementing Fields with the RPO stuff and the zone reads, I thought that was brilliant, because he's a very effective runner, especially in the red zone. He's 6'3", 230, man. Coming down here, he's bigger than all the people in the secondary. So he gonna pretty much run them over and keep going forward. So if it's a short yardage situation, if he get ahead of steam, he go get the first down. So I was glad to see him get good playing time. I love the way they utilized him, although I would have liked to see them let him throw the ball more, and hopefully next week against Vandy, they will allow him to throw the ball down the field more, so he can show the world more of his game and show people he's not a one-trick pony, because a lot of people just don't automatically pick, okay, Fromm's the passer, Fields is the runner. But no. Field can do both. He's a true dual threat quarterback. And I did several videos in the preseason leading up to this season about the quarterback situation. And you go back and check out my videos about Fromms and Fields, I've been told people that Fields is the better quarterback. But since then, I kind of been hush on it, because I wanted to see it play out on the field. Because at the end of the day, if you give this kid the ample opportunity that you give the other kids, then you'll be able to see it through film. We all watch football, so you'll be able to see which one is best suited for this offense. But right now, the approach they're going with, the rotational and basically the two-headed quarterback thing, kind of reminiscent to Florida back in the day when they had Chris Lee and Tim Tebow. I'm cool with that. I really am, because I know that Fromm has more control of the offense. He's more knowledgeable, and he can get guys lined up in the right plays, in the right position, and get the right protections called better than Fields can. Because today you even seen where Fields, there was a miscommunication between him and DeAndre Swift about where the handoff was supposed to go. But luckily for him, he improvised and just turned the corner, and picked up positive yardage. So that's just an aspect of his game that's there. And the fact that we missing, a home run threat in the running game, I think if we utilize Field more in that running game, RPO type of situational football, I think that could definitely help the team, because I think he's good for each game. I think Fields is good for anywhere from 50 upwards to 100 yards total offense with, the capability of scoring a couple touchdowns. I can see him doing that every game, especially in the red zone, So that's something I would be, open to seeing. But at the end of the day, man, it's nothing in this world to go get me to believe that all of this year, then going into next year, Field is still the number 2 quarterback. I don't see it, man. I don't see it. But I don't want to turn this particular video into a Justin Field Jake Fromm, debate. I'm gonna kind of stick to the strip of what I saw in the game. I think the defense played well. The run defense in particular played way better than they played last week against Missouri. That was an improvement. Had a couple breakdowns here and there, but ultimately they played pretty good. They played physical. Um, Special teams, we played solid. I think the punter though, the punter is inconsistent, but that's to be expected from a freshman. So he needs to continue to improve. Um, I think we missed a lot of big play opportunities. I think Fromm had the opportunity to make some big plays, and the receivers, they dropped a couple passes on him. You know what I mean? So Fromm definitely could have had better numbers than what he had. He finished with 16 for 22 for 185 yards. Justin Field was 1 for 2 for 5 yards. Then he ran for another 45 yards, including 2 rushing touchdowns. So that was pretty impressive. 50 total yards and 2 touchdowns. And just the fact of how the offense moved. I mean, it was 4 touchdowns scored. I'm not even gonna count the Isaac Nada touchdown. To me, that was just like a fluke play. So 4 touchdowns that were scored, Field ran 2 of them in. Then the other 2, Swift ran in. But on those 2 drives in which Swift ran it in, Fields was very instrumental in those drives as well. Like the first drive he had when he moved the ball all the way down the field, and then for some odd reason they took him out the game late in the drive and put Fromm in. I don't know, but I was glad to see them continue to give Field that opportunity, because I think that's all he need is in-game reps, to become a better player and ultimately, the quarterback that Georgia will need to depend on when it comes down to playing, championship football, because I think he gives us the best chance to beat these elite teams. That's just my opinion. Overall, I think the coaching was solid. I'm still questionable about some of the play calling, from Coach Chaney. I think he could do a better job, and hopefully he will. But us as fans, we just got to realize that last year was last year. This is not the same team as last year. This is a totally new team. We got a lot of returning players, of course, but this team is searching for its identity. This team is searching for the leaders to emerge. So it's still a relatively young team, and it's a young season. So we continue to get better, and we're just focusing on Vandy, and we got LSU, hovering, down the road here. So I think we need to try to get Fields more playing time against Vandy, get him to open it up, throw the ball against Vandy. So when it comes down to LSU, he'll be groomed and ready to help contribute to try to get us that W, much needed W. But that's pretty much all I got to say about this post-game video about the Georgia and Tennessee. Again, Georgia wins 38-12. Very impressively. Had a big second half. Once again, Justin Field pretty much had his breakout game, in my opinion. DeAndre Swift kind of got his groove back. Had a couple of rushing touchdowns as well. Jake Fromm was solid. The offensive line was, average today, but they came through when it counted, especially that late last drive when we basically went 14 plays, 13 of those plays rushing plays, and we ran it down their throat, and Fields capped it off with a rushing touchdown. So they came up when it counted, So that's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to continue to keep chopping, and then in the fourth quarter, we can bring in the fresh back. This game, it was Brian Harrion, bring in the fresh back, and, just take it on to the victory lap. Kind of reminiscent of last year. The same formula. But if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that sub button. Jump in the comment section and give me your opinions. I value everybody's opinion. If we all got an opinion, whether you agree with mine or not, that's cool. But y'all just let me know what you think. But last but not least, go Dogs.